For more now, we've reached reporter Jonathan Sacerdoti. He's in London. So, Jonathan, the U.S. president has been on British soil for a few hours now. What kind of reception is he getting?
Well, Andrew, so far it's been a mixed reception. It depends if you're looking at those protesters who have put themselves everywhere they could that they thought he might see, or whether you look at the government who have been rolling out the red carpet and giving him as warm a welcome as they possibly could. And those protesters are something of an embarrassment for the government. Remember that Theresa May, when she rushed to visit Donald Trump in the United States shortly after he became president, extended an invitation to him for a state visit to the UK. It's been a while coming, but now he's making a visit to the UK, not a full state visit, but these images that we can see showing the guards, the British military band playing him in Blenheim Palace all show that they're trying to replicate the pomp and circumstance of one of those state visits, even though this is in fact just a working visit. And that gives you an indication of how much Britain wants this to be a special experience for President Trump.
And why would that be? Why would Theresa May and her government want this to be a special experience for Donald Trump, someone who is not necessarily all that popular in Britain?
Well, on the one hand, this is a simple matter of celebrating a very strong relationship between the two countries, the United Kingdom and the United States. Remember, of course, that this is being called the special relationship, a phrase coined by Winston Churchill originally, and they are meeting in Winston Churchill's birthplace now in Blenheim. Of course, this is a relationship that's proved important to both sides. And in this instance, Theresa May is keen to show that Britain can forge strong relationships outside the European Union. After the referendum vote that saw Britain decide to leave the European Union, she has been swamped by problems with the negotiations, not just in Brussels, where those negotiations have taken place, but also in the UK within her own party. The Conservative Party, like other parties, divided over exactly how they believe Britain should leave the European Union. And this week's been a particularly bad one for Theresa May, with two senior cabinet members resigning over her position in those negotiations. Donald Trump, of course, has made it very clear that he was quite pro-Brexit, and also that he's quite willing to make a strong trade deal with Great Britain, something she will be keen to pursue in order to show that Britain can be outward-facing in the future.
And just as we're talking with you, Jonathan, I just want to let our viewers know that we're looking at these live images from time to time of Blenheim Palace, as well as the helicopters arriving, presumably with the U.S. president on board. You talk about how Trump has been very pro-Brexit, and Theresa May has been lukewarmly pro-Brexit, I guess you could say. Is that a problem for her and for him in the relationship?
Well, it's certainly going to be interesting to see how these two do develop this relationship, specifically over trade and Brexit. That won't be all they discuss. There'll also be Russian influence, the poisonings that have taken place in the United Kingdom in Salisbury using that Russian nerve agent Novichok. Things like that will also, of course, be part of their discussions tomorrow in Chequers, the Prime Minister's country residence. But tonight, as they're celebrating the strength of trade and collaboration in all fields, not just trade, military, cultural, scientific, there will also be this sense that it is important to note how the two are very different. Theresa May is quite media shy. She thinks very carefully about the messages she puts out, speaks with great thought and deliberation. Some have said even a bit boring. Donald Trump, of course, has been painted as the very opposite. He says what's on his mind. He tweets early in the morning his raw thoughts, and the two could not be more different in that respect. And yet, we saw that Theresa May tried to develop a very strong relationship with him initially. She's occasionally spoken out to criticize him for some of the gaffes, as they've been seen here, he's made regarding issues to do with the UK. But in general, the two do seem to get on well. And it will be important to see how he might influence her decision-making in the Brexit process, because this week she's taken a softer approach, capitulating to much of what it's thought Brussels would want in the negotiations. And Donald Trump doesn't seem to be somebody who would do that in the deal-making process.
And finally, just quickly, tomorrow Donald Trump will meet with the Queen. She's met every president except one since 1952. Do you think this encounter will be different?
Well, that's right. Around 5 o'clock tomorrow, President Trump and the First Lady will travel to Windsor Castle and meet Her Majesty the Queen. As a head of state, Her Majesty's met every US president since 1952, with the exception only of Lyndon B. Johnson. I do think that she'll be fine with it. She's met them all. She's been there a long time. That's the benefit of having a constitutional monarch. She's seen everything, the good, the bad, and the ugly. I won't tell you which one of those President Trump might fall into in her eyes, because it doesn't matter. That's her job, is to meet heads of state, and she'll be doing that. I'm sure she'll take it in her stride, and I'm sure for him it'll be very exciting too.
All right, Jonathan, thank you. That is reporter Jonathan Sacerdoti in London for us today.